So James Krause might be in a little bit of trouble. We don't know. I want to be very clear about that. I don't know exactly what kind of peril he faces. I don't know exactly how to look at this, other than to say the following. According to one of the fighters who was on the card, who won, who trains at Glory MMA and Fitness, James Krause was pulled from the card about a day before and not allowed to even corner. Now, I don't even know how that is the promotion's call. That seems to be like an athletic commission call, but whatever the case, he wasn't allowed to. And then it turns out that the state of New Jersey had alerted the gaming board, essentially in New Jersey, had alerted all bettors to not take any bets on any fight Krause was related to, either as trainer, cornerman, coach, you name it, because of this previous, we talked about it last week or 2 weeks ago, the Derek Minner fight, where he went in, the lines switched quickly for his opponent, and then he went in there and won via first round KO in a very surprising, unusual way. BC, I'll ask you this question. How much trouble is James Krause in?
Well, it's going to depend right now on what they find, whether this is just, okay, we're taking this investigation seriously. So because of that, James, you're going to sit this out until we can clear your name. That is a possibility here. But the other possibility, the one where they have information right now, which meant he definitely should not have been there, and they went to the steps to make sure of that and to make this the story it deserves to be, you're in extreme trouble. And I don't mean, necessarily what that means in fines or the penal system and all that. I just mean that here's a guy who makes his living in this game and is one of the best in the world at what he does. And these are the type of offenses, if this is all true and there's a big network, and I know it's hard for Krause right now because he's got that deep connection in gambling with the Discord he runs and the podcast and all that he's looked at as a gambling guy. If there was some impropriety in how the Derek Minner fight went down or any other fight, dude, that's like banishment. I mean, look at the headlines with Pete Rose still begging everyone to get in and have his moment. That, there's like lifetime banishment built in there, potentially, if that's the way. Nobody knows because we didn't investigate it. We don't have that inside info unless you're part of that greater circle. But Luke, in professional sports, in the history of this type of thing, which is why anybody that said anything bad about the UFC putting the ban on fighters betting, this is exactly why you do that. So well done, UFC. And maybe you have to ask yourself, did they get a whiff of something like this? And that's why they put that in. Either way, that would be a smart call. But what is this have a potential to be? A nightmare for James Krause if he was either sharing inside info that would have to be protected, when you have access to that, given how much money can be bet and how, gambling's not a silent thing anymore. You can't watch a UFC broadcast for 2 seconds without seeing constant things related to betting or urging or commercials to push you to make a bet. This could be very bad. So I applaud everybody for pressing pause and giving this the investigation it deserves. I hope for James's sake this is all blown up and there's a lot of assumptions being made. But you and I watched that Derek Minner fight. We reacted on Morning Combat. Although none of us have proof, that did not look good. I hope for James Krause's sake this isn't some deep network here that's going to get blown up and busted, Luke, because he's not going to be allowed to work in this sport if this is the direction it's going.
I mean, listen, we live in a sport. It's not just UFC. It's every sport across every platform. Gambling now, sports gambling and MMA or sports in general are just intertwined. Even on this show, we occasionally certainly have sponsors where we offer people, lines and whatnot, and I'm proud of that. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I don't think the state has any compelling interest in banning it. But of course, we all have to be responsible actors as it relates to this. And again, I don't know what the situation is with James Krause. We're going to have to wait and find out. I will say the one thing that surprised me about all of this, BC, is that as far as I can tell, only BloodyElbow.com had an article about it. I didn't see any. I could be wrong. If I am, by all means, please correct me.
ESPN's been on top of this, Luke.
So ESPN did the story originally, Mark Ramundi, and then there were some other ones as well.
David
But in terms of the MMA sites, I think Junkie and Fighting, I didn't see a single article about it. And to me, this is like a fairly important issue where, just think about it rationally, right? Imagine someone hires a coach to do gambling picks for ex-UFC, we'll just say UFC since we're talking about it, ex-UFC event. And it's like, where is the line being drawn here? In one world, you could be like, well, this is just harmless analysis, make of it what you will. On the other side, it's like there's not enough, it seems to me, as this process gets going. I don't know that we have enough guardrails between guys using their knowledge to make money in very noble or otherwise, non-pernicious ways, or as it relates to the other side where it all becomes quite below board and potentially illegal or otherwise damaging. The line between them is not so clear. You're right that the UFC tried to introduce some language around that to create some barriers. I think that helps. I don't think the job is done yet. I don't think the job is done yet.
In any sport, you tend to need a major moment, whether it's like the Black Sox scandal of 1919 or City College in New York college basketball betting scandal in the 50s, or, Tim Donaghy for the NBA. You need someone to push that wall down to remind you and let you know that you actually do need a wall and you need him to be firm. So, this is going to end up good because this is in some ways a day one situation for pro sports to be this tied into gambling. Mm-hmm. Just, we got a football team in Vegas. We're going to get an NBA team. And we are at a level that I just imagine when we watch Total Recall and we see the third areola, Luke, we're like, damn, first of all, the future is going to be awesome, right? But beyond that, we're like, I wonder, wow, imagine that, we're there on the imagine that right now. So it's going to take these type of scandals potentially to find out where that wall is and where the rules extend to. But I mean, Luke, do you feel bad that let's just imagine a scenario.
Let's imagine. I want to be clear about this. We are talking about something in theory. In theory, what if this investigation finds that there was some level, whatever it means, of impropriety around Krause? Is he going to be banned from the sport? What could happen here?
So while that sounds extreme, there are punishments handed out in situations like this to prevent it from ever happening again. So you go, look, there's the example of why, right? Pete Rose, yes, there's the example of why you should never do it. We are going to drop the bomb on you to scare everybody else. If he's connected in some type of network where information is being passed like that, and if this fight, which, well, by the way, just for fairness, not only Minner, Latifi, a couple other fighters got fined, right? It was breaking news for not disclosing injuries to the state commissions. That's another good step to enforce that. But I don't know where I was going to land this plane, Luke, but let me land it right here.
What could happen if they find that something below board happened?
I guarantee you they're going to drop the bomb. Does that bomb mean you are banned from this sport? I don't know how. I don't know how you regulate that, but specifically beyond saying, you're not allowed in our buildings, but there's something potentially very bad that could happen here. So let's hope for Krause's sake that this was just a one-off weird coincidence. But Luke, I mean, you wouldn't want, I mean, look, Tim Donaghy is never going to walk into an NBA arena again, right? And there's a reason for that.
Yeah, well, okay, but that was chronic malfeasance.
Right. Let's hope that this isn't, right? Let's hope that this.
By the way, just to put my cards on the table, Krause called me a year ago and asked if I wanted to be the host of that podcast.
Oh, dude,
I just didn't have the time.
Wow, you could have been subpoenaed, Luke. Okay,
could have been subpoenaed, but I didn't have time. I didn't have any interest, so I politely declined.
No reason to debate anymore in these gyms who's sleeping with who. This gambling thing is front page news.